are the Africans, often referred to as black people, and what is their origin? The history of African people spans millennia, encompassing diverse cultures, languages, and civilizations across the vast continent. From the ancient kingdoms of Egypt and Nubia to the empires of Mali, Songhai, and Great Zimbabwe, the African continent has been home to a rich tapestry of societies and peoples. Today, African people and their descendants are found across the globe, contributing to a global cultural heritage. Understanding the origins of African people involves exploring their deep-rooted history, tracing their migrations, and recognizing their enduring contributions to human civilization. In today's presentation, we'll discuss the origins and migrations of these African people who are predominantly Ham's descendants, one of Noah's sons, as outlined in the biblical narrative. Ham's lineage is detailed in the Table of Nations, found in Genesis 10, where his descendants are listed as the founders of various nations and peoples. It's important to note that this is a religious and historical perspective, and does not encompass the entirety of the African continent's diverse populations and cultures. The Bible outlines the origins of humanity post-flood through the descendants of Noah's three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. According to this tradition, Ham is considered the progenitor of many African peoples. The term Hamitic originally referred to the descendants of Ham, who, according to biblical genealogy, settled in various regions of Africa and the Near East. Ham is specifically associated with African peoples through his descendants Cush, Mizraim, Phut, and Canaan. Genesis 10, verse 6, ESV states, "The sons of Ham, Cush, Egypt, Phut, and Canaan." These names of Ham's sons correspond to regions that are historically and geographically linked to Africa and its peoples. Number 1. Cush. Cush is often associated with the region south of Egypt, including modern-day Sudan and Ethiopia. The sons of Cush include Havilah, Sabta, Sabtecha, Rama, and Nimrod. Nimrod in particular was a significant figure, described as a mighty hunter and a king who established cities such as Babel. Nimrod is considered the progenitor of the native peoples of ancient Babylonia and the Sumerians. Cush is often associated with Ethiopia and Africa in the Bible, with its literal meaning being Ethiopia or black. The descendants of Cush are believed to have settled in various African regions, including modern-day Sudan and southern Egypt. Notably, all Ethiopians are considered descendants of Cush, as well as the inhabitants of Nubia, known in ancient times as the Kingdom of Cush. It is also believed that the peoples of southern India, including the natives of the region, are descendants of Cush. This connection extends to many other Africans, such as Malians, Eritreans, Kenyans, Congolese, and the Bantu from Gabon. Number 2. Egypt or Mizraim. Egypt clearly refers to the modern nation of Egypt. Notably, Arabs, Jews, Syrians, and other groups refer to Egypt as Mizraim, a term linked to its legendary founder. The name Mizraim is etymologically connected to the Hebrew word for Egypt, Mitzrayim. Besides Egyptians, various North African groups, including the Berbers, have historical and mythological ties that are often traced back to ancient genealogies like those involving Mizraim. The use of the name Mizraim across various Semitic languages highlights a shared cultural heritage and acknowledges Egypt's prominence in the ancient world. Mizraim's descendants include the Ludim, Anamim, Lehabim, Naphtuhim, Pathrusim, Kasluhim, from whom the Philistines came, and Caphtorim. Number 3. Phut. Scholars typically identify Phut with the region known today as Libya, or more broadly, the regions in North Africa west of Egypt. The name Phut may be derived from the Egyptian term Pabruti or Puti, which referred to a region or people to the west of Egypt. This aligns with the ancient understanding of Libya. In the Old Testament, Phut is mentioned several times. For instance, in Ezekiel 27, verse 10 and 30, verse 5, Phut is listed among other nations as a participant in military alliances or conflicts involving ancient Israel and Egypt. Ancient historians and geographers, such as Josephus and Herodotus, also referred to the inhabitants of North Africa, west of Egypt, in ways that align with the biblical Phut. Number 4. Canaan. Canaan historically refers to the ancient land located in the eastern Mediterranean region, encompassing parts of what are now Israel, Palestine, Lebanon, and portions of Syria and Jordan. It holds significant historical and cultural importance due to its role in biblical narratives and its significance as a crossroads of civilizations in ancient times. Thus, Cush, Egypt, Phut, and Canaan, these names of Ham's sons, reflect regions historically inhabited by black and other dark-skinned peoples. These biblical references illustrate the significant role that Ham and his descendants play in the broader narrative of human history. Also, these connections help in understanding the historical ties between Africa and the Middle East, highlighting the diversity and interconnectedness of peoples across generations. The connection between Ham and Africa is also supported by various biblical passages. For instance, Psalm 105, verse 23, refers to Egypt as the land of Ham. This verse is part of a passage that recounts the history of the Israelites and their journey to Egypt, their time there, and their eventual deliverance. The full verse reads, "Then Israel came to Egypt. Jacob sojourned in the land of Ham." This reference to Egypt as the land of Ham supports the biblical tradition that Ham's descendants, through his son Mizraim, settled in Egypt. This association underlines the view that Ham's lineage includes many African peoples. The narrative of the Israelites living in Africa, specifically as slaves in Egypt, is indeed a significant part of biblical history. This period highlights the experiences and struggles of the Israelites, including their eventual exodus from Egypt under Moses' leadership. Moreover, the Bible documents notable African figures and interactions with the Israelites. One of the most famous interactions is the visit of the Queen of Sheba to King Solomon, as recorded in 1 Kings 10, verses 1 to 13 and 2 Chronicles 9, verses 1 to 12. The Queen of Sheba, often identified with the region of modern-day Ethiopia or Yemen, visited Solomon to test his wisdom with hard questions. She brought a great caravan of spices, gold, and precious stones, reflecting the wealth and sophistication of her kingdom. The encounter is notable for the mutual respect and admiration between the Queen and Solomon, symbolizing a significant connection between African and Israelite leaders. In the New Testament, the story of the Ethiopian eunuch is a significant account of an African individual's early conversion to Christianity. This event is recorded in Acts 8, verses 26 to 40. Philip the evangelist encounters an Ethiopian eunuch, a high official in charge of the treasury of the Kandake, or Queen of Ethiopia, who is reading the book of Isaiah while traveling in his chariot. Philip explains the scriptures to him, and the eunuch expresses his faith in Jesus Christ and requests to be baptized. This story underscores the spread of Christianity into Africa and the inclusion of African believers in the early Christian community. The Bible also references African nations in various prophecies and narratives, indicating their importance in the biblical worldview. For example, Ethiopia is frequently mentioned in prophetic literature. Isaiah 18, verses 1 to 7, speaks of a nation beyond the rivers of Cush, sending envoys to Israel. Similarly, Zephaniah 3, verse 10, mentions the worshippers from beyond the rivers of Cush, bringing offerings to God. Egypt, referred to as the land of Ham in Psalms, is a central figure in numerous biblical stories and prophecies. In Isaiah 19, a prophecy describes Egypt's future, including its eventual conversion and unity with Israel and Assyria in worshipping the true God. Furthermore, in Numbers 12, verse 1, Moses is noted to have married a Cushite woman. This intermarriage highlights the familial and social interactions between the Israelites and African peoples. Ebed-melech, an Ethiopian eunuch, is a notable figure in the book of Jeremiah. In Jeremiah 38, verses 7 to 13, he rescues Jeremiah from a cistern, demonstrating the righteous actions of African individuals. These examples underscore the significant contributions and roles of African individuals and nations, highlighting a diverse and interconnected ancient world. Abraham's journey from Ur to Canaan and Joseph's migration to Egypt are key stories in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. They show obedience to God and His promises. Abraham's journey marks the start of a special relationship between God and the Hebrew people. Joseph's journey leads to his rise in Egypt, setting the stage for the Israelites' later enslavement and exodus. These stories are crucial in understanding the origins and connections of African and Middle Eastern peoples, shaping the beliefs of millions today. Sharing this knowledge fosters respect and appreciation for cultural heritage. Thus, the biblical narrative and genealogies not only recognize the African origins of certain peoples, but also highlight the interconnectedness of humanity. The descendants of Noah's sons, including Ham, are seen as foundational to the diversity of nations and cultures that emerged post-flood, illustrating a shared human heritage. And that concludes today's episode. We sincerely appreciate your presence. If you enjoyed our content, please consider hitting the like button, sharing it with your friends, and subscribing to our channel. Thank you for your support.